I'm so happy to be here at Medium Day, and I'm speaking on a topic which I care about a lot. We are going to speak about features that flop. So last week I was speaking to a founder, and they were like, Rosie, I keep launching features, and we hear this feedback from users all the time. They want this, they want that. So we build it, we launch it, and it flops. No impact in metrics, everything completely flat. This was our most requested feature. We thought it was going to really boost retention or lifetime value, but no, we don't see it at all. And it's something that's super, super, super common. I would say 90% plus of the features I've seen launched actually flop. And by flop, I don't mean they drag the metrics down. I just mean that they cause things that are flat. And there was some research done by Pendo, which is an analytics tool, and they found that 80% of the features in products aren't used at all. And when they tried to work out, okay, how much is this costing us? It was about 30 billion wasted. And I think as product people don't often say, okay, we're going to build this feature, it's going to cost us 4 weeks of dev time. That's, these salaries times the days, how much is the feature? So I think there's a massive hidden cost behind launching features that flop. And it's something that's super common, and it's something that can be avoided with some small tests here and there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about feature testing. So how do you work out what are my assumptions? How do I test my assumptions before I build this thing, to make sure that when you're building, you're launching something, it's more likely to have the impact that you want and grow your business. So I'm going to take you through as many examples as we can get through of one question surveys. So I learned about one question surveys last year. I went on to Rosie Torres's assumption testing course, which is amazing. I would recommend it. And essentially, assumption testing is, okay, what are the underlying hidden things we think are true when we're building this thing? Can we test them in really small ways, to make sure that we are on the right track? Before we go into the board, I'll just give you a quick overview about me, who I am. So my name is Rosie Hoggmascall. I'm a product-led growth consultant for early stage startups. I help people find product market fit, optimize for product market fit, and ultimately work towards product-led growth. So I work with companies like Miro, Thriver, Blinkist, and more across B2B and B2C. I love both, just like cats and dogs. And I also love writing, hence why I started on Medium a year ago. And I've just launched Growth Dive, which is a weekly newsletter to give you product insights each week. And so the Medium team asked me to speak on this because it's an article that I published a few weeks ago, I think, and it's one of the most popular ones this year. And so I know that this is something that kind of a lot of people struggle with. Let me share the Medium board. You should all be able to go through it. I will also share my screen so you'll know where I am. That is the board, and here we go. So this was the article, June it was, so a month ago. So one question surveys we're going to go through. So when I talk about features, someone said in the comments, is this features, is this like written articles? You can test whether, a written article is a good idea. You can like do a little one, you can ask people, things like that. But this is mainly speaking about product features. So we're going to go through examples from LinkedIn, Instagram, Trainline, and then at the end, we're going to go and take away 6 key things that you need to know in order to start doing this and building features that are more likely to have an impact on your metrics. So first one, Instagram. So I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and it was bedtime. As you can see, it was like 10 to 11, which is not good. But essentially, I was scrolling through my feed, and I got this tiny little module here. Are you interested in this post? Not interested or interested? You can see it's super small. I could have scrolled past it, but it's in like my main experience. And it's a really, really easy question to answer. Are you interested in this post? Yes, no. And it wasn't a post from someone I was following. It was a suggested post. So you can see it's embedded, it's super small, it's a super easy, no-brainer question to answer. It's almost too subtle on my dark mode. I could have scrolled past it. But the key thing here is you're going to have a lot of people seeing this and get answers really quickly. And so when I saw this, I thought, what would they actually be measuring here? What would they be trying to test out? What's their assumption that they had before doing this? And so it could be something along the lines of people find their posts on their feed interesting. Because I find what often you do is, okay, we've got some feedback from users, we want to build this thing, let's look at the metrics, let's see if people are clicking this, let's see if people are going through this. But what you don't get is the why. You don't get the meaty stuff, which is like, are they interested in it? Is it valuable? Is it helpful? Like these more qualitative answers you won't get from your data. And so what you need to do is get those little bits of information from other places. And so this is a really, really quick example of one question surveys from Instagram. They're trying to find out whether I'm interested in their suggested feed posts, and it's interested or not interested. And when I tap on that, I then get a little thank you box. They also did one which is ads, which was interesting. Want more relevant ads? Tell us what you're into and we can show you more of what you like. And so they could be asking a couple things here. They could be working out whether I want more relevant ads, whether I click this or not. And if I do, then what ads would I actually want? I think the problem with this one is there's too many things here. There's too many things to click. And also these are very different buckets. So when you do a one question survey, you want it to be a no-brainer, you want it to be quick to answer, but you don't want to give them too many options because then it becomes something that they have to think about for a long time and they're more likely to scroll past and not click it. So I think two interesting examples there from Instagram. One is trying to work out whether I find the posts on their feeds interesting. The second about whether I want more relevant ads. And for me, if I was going to vote on which one I think is better, I would probably do the first one. Pinterest one is super interesting. We're sending emails all the time as products. We've got CRM strategies. We know people might open them. We know people might click them, but we don't know if they like the emails, if they found it helpful. Like all these numerical metrics are just proxies. And so what they do at the end of each Pinterest email, and I love natural swimming pools. I would love a natural swimming pool. So you can see that my recommendations here is natural swimming pools. And so I scroll to the bottom of the email and I get this, was this email useful? Yes or no? Super quick, super easy, two options. And then once I've clicked that, it says, thanks for your feedback. This will help us improve recommendations that we send in the future. I can see all you fiddling around with this. Don't touch it. I wanted it to be collaborative. You can put comments if you want, but try not to move the boxes around too much. And so the interesting thing here is that they're thanking me, but they're also letting me in on the gossip of what they're actually trying to analyze. So this will help us improve the recommendations that we send you in the future. So this one question survey is helping them work out whether their recommendations are useful, and it might actually be informing their algorithms that help their recommendations emails. So what they're exploring here is whether people find the content of the emails helpful. Next one, we're going to fire through these and then we're going to do a Q&A later, so save your questions. One Signal is a tool for CRM. You can send emails, you can send push notifications. And when I was in their interface recently, I got this question. What kind of automated messages do you send? Onboarding, re-engagement, promotions, transactional. So I was on the fence about this one because automated messages meant nothing to me. That's like internal One Signal speak. That's not customer talk. So it took me a little while to work out what they were talking about. I clicked onboarding, I clicked submit, and then I went through and I got some more questions. So what kind of messages do you send? What would you like to see improved? And then a thank you and a one-on-one call. So the really interesting thing about this one, yes, it wasn't the best worded because it wasn't really easy to understand from a user perspective, but it came with a fast follow with a free text entry field that then helps them get more qualitative information. It then asks them for a call. So a really nice way to automate your user research and make sure that you're A, testing your assumptions, B, getting a bit more information about those, but then C, getting people on a discovery call for 30 minutes so you can dig into those a bit more. So I would say 5 out of 10 for One Signal. Figma, one of my favorite examples on this board. Their one question survey. Okay, I was in Figma. I was typing in search. I was trying to find a file. And I typed attribution because I knew that I'd done some sort of attribution work before and I couldn't find anything. And as soon as I couldn't find anything, I got this little question here, quick research question. What are your thoughts on this statement? Finding the files I need is easy. Strongly disagree to strongly agree, 1 to 5. And then once I clicked one, strongly disagree. I think no, I clicked two. There we go. It was then a fast follow, optional. What can we do to make finding files easier? And then another optional, are you open to sharing more about this with Figma? So what I love about this is that they're searching something really specific. They're working out, is it easy to find files? Maybe they got some information back from customer support tickets saying finding Figma files is difficult, and they want to work out why or whether it is difficult. And instead of just going away and improving it without knowing what the problem is, here they're mining for opportunities, they're mining for solutions by going a bit deeper on that problem, instead of spending a lot of time building something that they don't know will work. Google. I've got so many Google examples here. They seem to be doing a lot of research. We've got Google search here. There's also Google Analytics. And then the last one is Google Maps. So Google's one question survey. I saw an ad on Instagram for some cool shoes. And then I forgot what they were. And I thought they were this brand. So I went to Google and I typed Merrell packable shoe. I then went down and scrolled a bit and saw this pop up. How helpful were the results on Google? Not helpful, extremely helpful. And a 5-part scale. This is called a 5-part Likert scale. And 5 is a really good number to use because you don't want more than 5. It's too many options. But too few doesn't give you enough information. It's good that they're labeled here. Just a 1 to 5 isn't as helpful. And once I tapped on one of these, it said, thanks for the feedback. So it's just a quick thank you. And so they're trying to work out whether I'm getting good search results. Interesting one there. Super simple, but they're trying to work out whether the search results are helpful. Then we have LinkedIn's one question survey. So it's interesting, on Instagram, they were also doing feed research, and it was, are you interested in the post? So does this interest me? Is it relevant to me? Post relevance. And then LinkedIn here is looking at valuable. How valuable is the post? Like, is this a feed that's valuable to me? So I scrolled past and I got the question, do you find this post valuable? Again, it's a really nice little module. The Figma one is actually really easy to miss. This is on desktop and there's so much white space. It's really easy to miss that. I might have missed, scroll past that. On the LinkedIn one, it's a bit easier on mobile. You kind of scroll past it and it's easier to see. Do you find this post valuable? Yes, no, not sure. And then let us know why. So again, there's a fast follow and it allows me to add something about the author or the topic, which is nice. And then I get a thank you message. Your response helps us improve the feed experience for everyone. They did it again, but different wording. So I wonder whether they learned whether this wording was good or bad. The first iteration was, did you find this post valuable? The second is, the content in my feed today is valuable to me. So that's valuable feed overall. This one is this post specifically. So it's kind of a different scale of research, but they're asking the same question. These were a few months apart. So it shows you they're really interested in finding a bit more out about feed relevance to inform what they build. So they make sure that they're actually building things that are truly relevant for people. Loom is a very simple kind of NPS score via email. It's not necessarily they're testing assumptions. They will more be mining for assumptions. So are you likely to recommend Loom to a friend? That's kind of the NPS Net Promoter Score test. And they'll be mining for opportunities in that kind of free text entry box. We have a few more. Similar, Opal, so I won't go through that. The one that's an app to stop you using like WhatsApp and Instagram while you're working. You can set things. For me, it's like reading comics or going on the internet when I'm not meant to. I'm meant to be working, so I use the app for that. And they do a similar thing to Loom. They're mining for information. This one's super interesting. So Pendo is that analytics tool. And I was using Pendo for some analytics the other day. And I got these three questions actually. Pendo is easy to use, and it's from 1 to 5. Strongly agree, strongly disagree, other way around. And then Pendo's features meet my needs, and then tell us why you gave those ratings, and then a thank you. What I love about this is that it's very specific. So they're working out they're exploring 2 assumptions here. People find Pendo easy to use or hard to use, and Pendo has the features for me. So what they could be exploring is, what features do we build to enhance the subscription? Or do we improve our current feature set and how easy it is to use? Like what is the opportunity here to build something that users actually want? Trainline is a an app here in the UK and also in Europe to help you find train tickets as well as bus tickets. And I was buying a ticket to Stansted Airport. I was going on holiday. And once I bought the ticket, I got this little pop-up here. It's a very pretty little pop-up saying, "What's your view? Trainline actively helps me find the most environmentally friendly options. 1 to 5. Thank you. Best feedback ever." I like the look of it. It was hard to miss because it popped up and grayed the background. The problem is it's a bit of an unusual question. They could be trying to work out a few things. Could be a brand survey to see how they come across. It could be that they have the assumption that they want to be perceived more as eco and people care about that. Or it could be something else. If you have any ideas, let me know. But it's a really interesting one. I think it looks good, but I'm not quite sure. I don't see Trainline as an eco-friendly product for me. It's more, okay, it's the cheapest, fastest way to get somewhere, therefore I'm going to use it. Another one, Finimize. Finimize is a really cool app. Oh, it's not Finimize actually, it's Mobbin. Wrong one. Mobbin is an app that helps you look at app screenshots. So if you want to do some research, you go on and you can see the whole onboarding flow of Bumble or Tinder or any product you want to see. And then you can download the file. So I just downloaded a file and straight away I got this little thing saying, "How was your export experience?" Copy and downloading is quick and easy, 1 to 5. Additional feedback. Again, it's super easy to answer. It's very relevant. I just downloaded something and it's very quick to answer. And they're likely, it could be that they got some feedback saying, "Oh, it's hard to export," or they got some insight where, "Oh, the product team's thinking maybe we should improve the export experience." And instead of just doing it, they're just going to validate that and make sure the assumption is true, that people are struggling with exporting and getting a bit more deeper understanding around that. Last two, before we go into the learnings and then some Q&A. Google Analytics, which isn't my favorite tool in the world, but we have to use it. What is the main reason you're using Google Analytics today? Event count over time, event count by name, page level event count. And to me, that didn't mean much, to be honest. I mean, I use event count over time, but it was a bit of a dense question for me. It wasn't something that I was like, "Yep, easy answer, know it." I had to read all of them a few times and think, okay, what is this? And then I tapped event count by name. And then they asked me my satisfaction and then asked me to explain my rating and then thanked me. So really interesting there because it's so specific. And I think what they're exploring there is whether people are using Google Analytics for certain things and mining for opportunities within that experience, as opposed to they might have an assumptions around what people are using Google Analytics for, in which case that question is then trying to validate that. Last one, Google Maps. So I was traveling the other day. I was trying to get from A to B, trying to get to the coast actually. I wanted to go for a swim. And the question came up, "Help us improve Google Maps. No thanks, show question." Interesting that I had to opt into the question there. Overall, how helpful was Google Maps today? Extremely helpful, not helpful at all. 5-part like it scale again. Really good one to use. And then what did you like about using maps? And what issues did you uncover? So again, not so much assumptions, more how helpful was Google? And then looking into those responses to see if that is giving them any insights into what they can build next. I then recently, even more recently, got this, "Help improve Google Maps. How was the navigation on this trip?" And so this is working out the assumptions people are unhappy or happy with the navigation specifically. So the first one is more around the broader mining for opportunities. The second one is more around how happy or unhappy people are with the navigation. So one broad, one specific. What would be super interesting is maybe they ran the first one and they got some things around how good the navigation was, and then they want to dive into that. So they could be related, who knows? So 13 examples, so many different examples there. The key thing is you can start really small, you can start really hacky. So I did this with a client a few weeks back and just sent an email out asking a 5-part scale on a specific question. We were thinking of building a new feature. It was going to take 2 to 3 months of planning and development and testing. And so instead of just building that, we're like, okay, let's just test what the demand is for this. Another example is you could build a smoke screen test. You're like, "We want to build this feature." You build the first screen, which is like enter into this feature, or it's the button, and you just test what percentage of users click it. Like, do enough people click it? Is the demand for that thing before you go ahead and build it? And it can be difficult to get started, and I would say the first one that you run won't be perfect, but the most important thing is just work out in your tech stack, do we have a tool that can run this for us already? Sometimes CRM's tools that can send emails and push notifications can also send in product experiences, like in product pop-ups. I know Braze can, I think Customer IO, OneSignal, they all have the functionality to pop up these little questions. Maybe it's something an engineer can build quickly, just a little question in there. One of the key things is they need to be in the experience. So 6 lessons here that I will leave here. And I'm going to have a look at the Q&A to see chat. Here we go. Okay, so Nora asks, if a company wants to become more data-driven, but they don't have the infrastructure to gather data, what would you recommend to get started? Would you advise to take the time to develop basic toolkit that can be easily used, or consider building with an engineer within each product? Yeah, so becoming more data-driven is it's a really important thing to do. I think some companies are super data-driven and some aren't. Both you can run a successful business with. Data obviously really informs what you're going to build. If you're in a situation where you don't trust your data, that is something that for me would be a very high priority thing, because you might be working all of your time and effort on a particular part of the funnel. Maybe you're working on like an activation moment, but the problem could be that people are really stuck on the registration. And with data, you might not know that. So if you don't have that data in place, I would definitely put it on the roadmap as soon as possible to get trustworthy data points in place. It doesn't have to be a full thing. I think for me, the most important points are the entry point. So someone's just come in, the sign up at registration point, the purchase point, and then the product users point. So as long as you've got 5 events in there, that to me would be the most important. So I think, Nora, to answer your question, yes, becoming more data-driven is super important. I'd get something MVP on the roadmap as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can run surveys via email. You can try and speak to people. So there are ways that you can overlap when you feel like you've got a bit of a blind spot. So I hope that answers your question. Lauren says, some of these questions seem broad. Is this useful? But the results from that question could lead to any number of conclusions. How do you recommend drilling down from there? Yeah, it's a good point, Lauren. So I think what I would do is I would say, okay, we want to, like, maybe you're working on the area of, say you're working on a social media product and you're working on post engagement. You want more people to engage with posts. The question would be, why don't people engage with posts? Maybe they're not useful, maybe they're not relevant, maybe they're not valuable. And you might have some information already from customer support tickets and things like that. So you'll have your list of assumptions of, like, we think the posts are useful, but we think they're not relevant, or we think they're actionable, blah, blah, blah. You'll have like a list of assumptions. Then when you go and do your 1-question surveys, you won't be testing those specific assumptions. So it'd be, do you find this post useful? And if 80% of people don't say it's useful, then in your list of things that you thought was the reason, you can take that one off. And then you would drill down into, why are they not useful? Okay, they're not useful because of X, Y, Z. Okay, then you could do another 1-question survey, which tries to weight those, or you could just count how many people said one or the other. And then that would help you prioritize your product roadmap, saying, okay, we thought our posts weren't valuable. We now know that's true. The top 3 reasons we think they're not valuable is X, Y, Z. We either have that information from a fast follow question, or we can send another 1-question survey out. So I think with these companies, a lot of them are broad, and I don't think those examples are as useful. I think they're more useful in how they execute them in terms of the UI. But I think more specific examples like the Pendo one, that's really specific. They are testing how easy is it to use. Do I have enough features? So I think I would say take from the examples as you will, whatever you find useful. What are the common pitfalls to avoid when designing features that are intended to meet user needs quickly? And how can we ensure that these features remain relevant and effective over time? It's a good call. It's an interesting question, because for me, it comes back down to your core value proposition. So you have a product, you built a product for a reason. What is that reason? What is the value that you bring? is your feature improving that value or adding new value? There's like two types of things. And long term, if you're meeting users' short-term needs versus long-term needs, ideally you'd make sure that in the first instance you're hitting your value proposition, and that's the most important thing. Like, do we deliver value for the users in the core thing that we were going to do? If it's an analytics tool, can they do user analytics easily? If it's a social media tool, are they entertained all the time? Are we doing that thing first? And whether the features that you're building remain relevant over time. I think sometimes you can lose product market fit. You know, if the market changes, you need to do more research around, okay, what's the user value now? Is it the same as before? I think a lot of products I work with, you might deliver value every quarter. So like if it's a holiday product, people aren't going on holidays all the time. And so one of the problems is, how do we deliver user value instantly when they're not going on holiday? And so you then might look at features that improve the stickiness of a product if your product's like a low frequency product. So Ikare, a roundabout answer to say value proposition and your core value is the most important thing. Do that first, whether it's long or short term. The second thing is work out if you need to improve the stickiness or the frequency, or is it that you need to improve long-term retention? I think both of those are two very different things, and you would attack them in different ways. Kindly reshare the Figma file. Yes, I will do that in a bit. Da, da, da. Any other questions? I think we are good. If you want to head over into your next session, I will stay around for a little bit to check there's no other questions, but you're welcome to use the Figma file as you wish. I've very much enjoyed sharing all these. It was a very fast fire round. So if you want any more, just follow on Medium. I will continue to post on Medium. I do these sort of deep dives on Medium in copy form. And then I'll be posting more on growthdives.com. New newsletter that I've just recently launched today. So if you find any spelling errors on the landing page, do let me know. But thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you for zooming around in the file. I love the interaction and the collaboration. So yeah, thank you, everyone. And I'm glad, Andre, that ChatGPT gave you the same recommendations as I did. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay, so to the people sticking around, how big of an audience do you test? It's a very good question. So say you've got 1,000 users every week who are looking at a screen, you might want to run it for a week. If you're in the lucky situation where you've got hundreds of thousands of people looking at things every week, you might only need to run it for a day. There are sample size calculators online where you can look at, we want to see, you know, I would say a minimum of 200 people answering a question for like any product. If you're a huge product, obviously you're great with massive sample sizes. If you're a very, very small product and you've only got hundreds of users, I try and get, you know, a couple of hundred responses. The bare minimum is 40 responses, but say you had 5 options and you've got 40 responses and 5 people answered each, then you'd have a very small number of people answering each. It's not that much. So I try and go to 200 people. The recording, Bhavana, will be shared by Medium, I believe. And I will share the Figma file again here for the people who are asking. Excellent. Great. Awesome. Thanks everyone for the questions. I will see you online. Bye.